disputes. So we looked at the Principal Act is amended by the repeal of Section 80. So Section 80, which looks at aeronautical charts, the authority shall provide regulatory oversight over the production, publishing, and use of aeronautics charts in accordance with the relevant annex. This section has been amended by the substitution, therefore, of the following. The authority shall provide regulatory oversight over the production, publishing, and use of flight procedures and aeronautical charts in accordance with the Zambian civil. The law did not explicitly cater for the publishing and use of the flight procedures previously. Secondly, Section 53 and 54 of the Principal Act. Again here, we see that Section 53, commercial air transport permit. An air operator shall not engage in any commercial transport unless the operator holds a permit issued by the minister under the Air Services Act and complies with this act. Section 54, a foreign air operator shall not engage in commercial air transport within and from Zambia unless the operator holds a permit issued by the minister under the Air Services Act and complies with this act. Ramifications: the repeal of the Section 53 and 54 are there to cure some of the associated problems with the bureaucracies that might hamper the timeliness in the issuance of permit. 3. The Principal Act is also amended by the repeal of Section 55 and the substitution, therefore, of the following. Section 55. Any person who wishes to operate an aerodrome that serves any scheduled or non-scheduled operations of an operator or foreign operator, and that is required by the minister or by statutory instrument, or to license or may file with the Director General an application for an aerodrome operating license. Now, amendment to the Civil Aviation Act Bill, to the Civil Aviation Bill number 2024. A person who intends to operate an aerodrome that serves as scheduled or non-scheduled operation of an air operator or foreign air operator shall apply to the Director General for an aerodrome operating license in a manner and form as specified by the Zambia Civil Aviation requirements. The ramification: the best practice among the ICAO states is that these functions are performed by the Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority, as this is to ensure that there is timeliness in the issuance of licenses. Transfer of function: we see that the authority may, in accordance with the Chicago Convention 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30, enter into bilateral agreement with the aeronautical authority of another country and consent to transfer that country or part of the authority's function concerning a Zambian registered aircraft engaged in international navigation to ensure compliance by the aircraft operator with the rules and regulations of that country relating to: 1. the flight and maneuver of the aircraft; 2. the use of aircraft radio transmitting apparatus or equipment; 3. certificates of airworthiness; and 4. licenses. Ramifications: as safety is a daily and continuous part of the aviation sector, this amendment will act as a precautionary measure to ensure that lack of capacity or personnel to ensure safety in Zambia does not jeopardize the safety within the sector. This also facilitates international cooperation and compliance with the global aviation standards, potentially enhancing the operational efficiency and alignment of Zambia's civil aviation sector. Miscellaneous provisions. We note also that Section 11 repeals and replaces Section 75 to introduce updated penalties and compliance measures. Ramifications. Updated penalties can act as a deterrence against non-compliance and encourage adherence to the aviation regulations. General impact. So these amendments collectively aim to modernize Zambia's civil aviation regulatory framework, improve safety and security standards, and ensure compliance with the international aviation norms. The improvements in regulatory clarity, safety oversight, and international cooperation will lead to a safer, more efficient, and globally integrated aviation industry in Zambia. Ramification of the Civil Aviation Amendment Bill number 10 of 2024. So the objectives are as follows. 1, to enhance civil aviation safety, incorporate new definitions to align with the other relevant laws, introduce stricter licensing requirements for public aerodromes, introduce new penalties for non-compliance related to aerodrome safety and wildlife management. Key amendments. Increased safety measures, so we look at Section 3, amend Section 9 to introduce strictly measures in terms of licensing requirements for public aerodrome. Section 9, a place or a building shall not be used as a public aerodrome if it is not being registered or licensed by the authority. Civil Aviation Act number 24 Bill. The Principal Act is amended by the repeal of Section 9 and the substitution, therefore, of the following. A place or building shall not be operated as a public aerodrome if it is not licensed by the authority and the aerodrome operator is not certified by the authority. A person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 700,000 penalty units or to imprisonment of a term not exceeding 7 years or to both. Ramifications. We look at the general penalties, Section 8 of the bill. This introduces new penalties for non-compliance related to aerodrome safety and wildlife management. Ramifications. These enhanced penalty provisions can enforce compliance and deter misconduct in the aviation sector. In terms of the incorporation of new definition, we also see that there is need for incorporation of new definition. So Section 2 introduces definitions such as disposal facility and wildlife to align with the solid waste management, the Solid Waste Regulations and Management Act of 2018 and the Zambia Wildlife Act of 2015. Ramifications. This will ensure that the aviation practices comply with the broader environment and wildlife protection regulations, promoting sustainable aviation practices. By aligning aviation regulations with the environmental laws, the amendment supports efforts to minimize environmental impact of the aviation activities, thus contributing to a broader ecological conservation goals. Ramifications. These amendments aim to further enhance safety, regulatory compliance, and environmental sustainability of Zambia's civil aviation sector. In conclusion, the enactment of the proposed amendment to the Principal Act will enhance the safety and enforcement of penalties as provided for in the bill. I submit, Chair.
Thank you so much, Witness. Before we invite honorable members to ask questions, we will ask our honorable colleagues who joined us a little later to introduce themselves.
Thank you so much, Chair. Good morning, honorable members, and good morning, Witness. My name is Mandandi Kalie, Member of Parliament for the good people of Sioma constituency in the Western Province. I thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, witness. I'm Engineer Oliver Amutike, Member of Parliament for Mongo Central, the home of the Komboka ceremony. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, honorable members, and good morning to our witness. My name is Siveso Kakoma Sefolo, a Member of Parliament for Mondi constituency in the Western Province, privileged by my honorable colleagues to vice chair this committee. My apologies for walking in a little bit late. I'm actually just sitting in another committee, just in the opposite committee room there. So it's not out of disrespect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, you are free to ask questions. We'll start with Honorable Mpundu.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, witness, for your presentation. When we talk of the law, you do a lot of analysis. When you check on Section 8 of the bill, it is talking of introducing new penalties. And I'll just mention two. Some of the attributes of the law is that it is supposed to be fair and it is supposed to be accepted. Now, looking at the new penalties that are being introduced, do you think there's a degree of fairness, and at the same time there will be that degree of acceptance? Because you end up putting up a penalty that will again bring conflictual matters. I need your comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mpundu. Yes, Honorable Mutike.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much to our witness. Just asking this question, taking advantage that you are in the area of research and monitoring. And I wanted to find out, in terms of the industry, the civil aviation industry here in Zambia, how do we compare with other industries, with the other civil aviation industry in our neighboring countries, or with the best? And which areas do you think we are lagging behind, if any, that may need improvement? We do appreciate your input this morning in terms of enhancing the safety of our civil aviation industry. I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mutike. Witness, you may proceed to respond to the questions.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. On the first question, that is looking at the penalties. So penalties, like especially in the aviation sector, they're to deter offenses, would-be offenders. And in the aviation sector, there's no room for try and error. So I presume these some of these penalties that have been introduced were through consultations with various players in the sector. And then the second question, looking at comparing with other industries, interactions with the players in the sector, in the civil aviation sector, we realize that we are still not where other countries are. Because right now, just to begin with the amendments, some of these amendments that are being done to the law is just to ensure that the country still continues to align with international protocols and international provisions of various protocols that we've assigned to. Issues of capacity is still an issue, because if you realize when issues of procedures came in, the aviation sector had to also outsource capacity to ensure that Zambia is preparing for the audit by ICAO, which is coming this August. To ensure that everything is aligned to what the international standards are providing for. So compared to Kenya, compared to Tanzania, we still have a lot to do to catch up, because we realize that some of the experts that we get as a country to look at our aviation sector are from Kenya and Tanzania. So when it comes to the audit, we just have to make sure that the audit is coming in a few weeks. We ensure that our sector, our house has been made in order. Thank you.
Maybe
You can.
Just a follow-up question. So the audit that prompted these amendments was prompted by two things. One of the things was the compliance aspect, and the second thing was the independence of the civil aviation from government influence. Probably I would just want to hear your comment from what you have observed as an independent agency would do monitoring and research. Is the Civil Aviation Authority very, very independent from government interference? Are they able to operate freely and making sure that they are, their decisions are very, very their own, so to speak? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mtike. Witness, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Honorable Engineer Musike. The tenets of corporate governance basically speaks to the fact that there are levels of oversight from the minister, the board, and the management. Many institutional independence, because at some point, if certain matters, if you have some levels of if there are some at political level there are some interests that have to be pursued, sometimes in as much as the Director General may try or the board may try to defend the act, sometimes we end up bending. But otherwise, institutions this is why there is an act to ensure that all decisions that are done are actually protected by an act. But sometimes we are human, we cannot allay external hands in there. I think that is my honest observation.
Thank you so much, Witness. I think before we proceed, kindly allow us to request our honorable colleague who joined us to introduce himself. He has joined us a little later because he's chairing another committee next door. Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, colleagues, and good morning, Witness. My name is Newton Samakai, Member of Parliament for Mwinlonga constituency in the Northwestern Province, and a member of this committee.
Thank you so much. Honorable Msonda, any question? Honorable Msonda, do you have any question? Okay, thank you so much. Honorable members, are there any questions? And kindly note that the witness has submitted both on Bill 9 and Bill 10. Yes, Honorable Samakai.
Chair, I heard the witness say that you can't rule out external hand in the governance system. I'm just wondering if that external hand flout the act or the regulations, do you still entertain it? Chair, through you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Samakai. Witness, you may proceed to respond.
Honorable, definitely, if it contravenes with the act, there's no need, there's no.
You also wanted to ask a last question. Looking at the current laws that we have surrounding the civil aviation in Zambia, and of course together with this amendment that we are trying to make of Bill 9 and Bill 10, do you look at them as sufficient laws that are going to help us achieve our objective as a nation of trying to convert Zambia into an aviation hub?
Thank you, Chair. I think first of all, in terms of policy, before you look at any changes to the existing policy, you look at what are the key issues. So I'm very sure that we have looked at the weaknesses that as a country we have, and that currently these amendments may actually be sufficient enough to look at some of the weaknesses that have been highlighted. However, and this is why it is important that along the implementation of these acts, strategies and policies, we need to be able to monitor how these acts or policies are being implemented, and whenever we see any lapse, then as at some point they can be forwarded to an amendment, or we can actually introduce policies that should enhance the sector in terms of its operations. I submit.
Thank you so much, Doc. You can kindly give us your concluding remarks, if any.
Okay. Yeah, I think. Thank you, Chair. I think let me just say that the aviation sector is one important sector, but at the same time an expensive sector at the same time, and it deals with the lives of people, and if we do not actually ensure that we to the level of the international standards, or even make sure that we reach certain minimums, then we risk ourselves not moving forward as a country, and of course endanger the lives of our citizens and that of others that operate within our space. I submit.
Thank you so much, Doc. This committee is extremely humbled and grateful. You've been great partners to the National Assembly of Zambia in many researches and submissions. We are extremely grateful, and we would like to assure you that we'll do everything possible as a committee to ensure that our aviation sector is safe, especially that the chair is also a pilot, so it even makes it better. Thank you so much. We wish you all the best, and before we release you, allow me to withdraw the immunity that was conferred upon you and your team. Thank you so much, and may the good Lord bless you. Thank you.
You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
Ubebe balupawanda atapenkondo elo ya tampa.
Mwene mulili mukole wapa.
Mwelisa. Sushinde wala.
semasoka yochiti nokuza wewe obukata
vyose tibinjizwe mwambo witu ngwa kusuzula arikuti
nokubhayi nafuchitika
atisiya
sharafu kanomba ine mpia ine ndine detective nakena
This is the beginning of the end of the Senkulos. Na lava pwa.
All that matters. Oh, way, you are all that matters. I'll put you in front of the melody. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. I'll make room for two. You and I, Jesus, you are all that matters. You are all that matters. Oh, Jesus, you are all that matters. Oh, Jesus, you are all that matters. What would I live for if I don't have you in my life? 'cause you are all that matters.
Ikwele pamwamba pa mazina yonse.
Ikwele pamwamba pa mazina yonse.
Nipichani munakangi wapo Ponte mumakwanisa
Nipichani munalepela po Ponte mumakwanisa. Ikwele
Ay Yesu yo
pamwamba pa mazina yonse.
Ikwele
Pamwamba pa mazina
Ikwele At the mention of your name, at the mention of your name, every knee must bow, must bow. For you are Lord, the creator of the heaven and earth. Nizina bwanji ngapala nisiwe kusina yanu kulipe. Oh, nipichani munalepelapo. Oh, ponze mumakwanisa. Ikwele haya zina yanu haya yanga iseluke yanu ikwele zina yanu Ikwele zina yanu
Your name is a strong tower. We run in and we are safe. Zina Jave. Your name is a strong tower. We run in and we are safe. Kulibe yolingana na Pano batikola pansi Nakosa ikwele Pamwamba pa mazina yonse. Ikwele pamwamba pa mazina yonse. Zina lanu Yesu, zina lanu Yesu. Ikwele pamwamba pa mazina yonse.
Kulipe chokosa kulimwe Timwe bene wavonse Muhammad panaora Imwe imba munaikwanisa Ikwele yo Ikwele yo Ikwele yo Ikwele mazina yonse yaseluke anu. Ikwele Ikwele
We have enough chairs this side. We are live on TV, so it would be good for us to, otherwise the chairs will look empty when we have people that have come. Honorable Mpundu, are you able to kindly there? So, Honorable Mpundu, you can come and sit. No, we'll still have sufficient. No, it's okay. The dog wants where he wants. Okay, dog. Good morning, witness, and welcome to Cabinet Affairs Committee. We will request the honorable members to introduce themselves, as well as the Secretariat and the permanent witness. Thereafter, we will request you to introduce yourselves. We'll start with Honorable Dr. Kalila.
Thank you, Chair. As you have correctly said, my name is Dr. Kalila, Member of Parliament for Lukulu East. Thank you very much, and warm welcome to all of you. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, CEO and your team. I'm Engineer Oliver Amotike, Member of Parliament for Mongo Central, the home of the Komboka ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning once more, Chair, and good morning, honorable members. My name's Cliff Mpundu, Member of Parliament for Chembe constituency. Thank you.
Good morning, our witness. Peter Piri is my name, Member of Parliament from Kaiko constituency. Thank you.
Honorable Msonda, witness, we have you make
Mwinilonga constituency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, witness. My name is Timothy Lumba from the Office of the Clerk.
Good morning, witness. My name is Fanwa Chuama from the Office of the Clerk.
Good morning. I am Miriam Chipwaya, an intern with the Office of the Clerk.
Good morning, witness. Thank you, Chair. My name is Darius Shachinda from the Ministry of Justice, sitting in as a permanent witness.
Thank you so much. My name is Lubusha Andrew. I'm Member of Parliament for Chipangali constituents of Western Province and the Chairperson for Cabinet Affairs Committee. You may kindly proceed to introduce yourselves.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, members. My name is Kono Mleya. I'm the CEO of IDC. I have with me a delegation from Zambia Airways as well, our subsidiary. I'll let my colleagues at IDC first introduce themselves.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Kaya Siameja, Chief Portfolio Officer at IDC.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Sombo Kaweza, Principal Research and Strategy Analyst at IDC.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. Mwanza Muza, my name, Senior Transformation Officer, IDC.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, honorable members. My name is Thomas Weldethambet. I'm CEO of Zambia Airways. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Nancy Sikazwe, Manager Legal and Company Secretary at Zambia Airways.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, honorable members. My name is Emmanuel Chisanga. I'm Head of Sales and Executive Assistant to the CEO of Zambia Airways. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, honorable members. My name is Charles Mwenda, Head Quality and Safety Assurances, Zambia Airways.
Thank you so much, witness. This committee is delighted to have you here, and be assured that as you appear before any parliamentary committee, you tend to enjoy the same benefits that are enjoyed by honorable members of parliament during sitting. Therefore, in line with Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, you have immunity. Whatever you are going to say before this committee cannot be used against you in any courts of law or anywhere within Zambia. However, the same Cap 12 can be used against you if you willfully mislead this committee. This committee is, however, very confident that you cannot willfully mislead it. Therefore, it urges you to feel free as you make your submission. You may kindly proceed to submit.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, members. We are commenting on the amendment bills, number 9 of 2024 of the Civil Aviation Act, and Amendment Bill number 10, also of 2024, as requested by the National Assembly Committee on Cabinet Affairs. Our overall assessment, Honorable Chair, after a thorough review, is that the amendments are represent a very positive way forward for the civil aviation structures in the country. The first step was the fact that these amendments are making some clarifications on the ambiguities that were there in the original Act. They provide greater clarity in terms of the general responsibilities of the aerodrome operating process, and also on the powers and authorities to be exercised by the Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority. They are also filling some information gaps which are noted upon review of the Act. There was some information that was missing, that was not comprehensive in terms of the sections that are cross-referencing within the Act itself. So that required clarity, so that as we read the Act and apply it under the civil aviation framework, it gives clarity to all the users. The third, perhaps one of the critical parts, is aligning the Civil Aviation Act to the international standards under the principles and annexes of ICAO, so that the Zambia Civil Aviation regulations come closer to what is pertaining internationally across the aviation industry. So we believe that by enacting these amendments, we will be bringing the civil aviation space in Zambia closer to what persists elsewhere. So these are welcome amendments indeed. So that's by way of introduction. In terms of the specifics of the Act, I think we will comment on a few. On page 2 of our submission, you will see that we start with section 3.1 of the Amendment Bill 2024, specifically 3.1.1, section 11, where it is expanding the Director General's responsibilities to make sure that his primary role is focused not only on administration tasks, but also on the responsibilities that are crucial to the oversight of the aviation industry in the country. Typically, he has to have oversight over the licensing of personnel, the certification of air operators, which is issuing AOCs and licenses. He has to have an overview of the safety and security mechanisms, including the airworthiness that are required for the aircraft, and also the equipment that is used in doing air navigation services, and also supervising the aerodromes that are developed across the country. The other issue that he needs to have a clear oversight is the dangerous goods transportation by different air operators in the country. Again, that had to be aligned with the ICAO amendments and ICAO annexes so that it suits the international civil aviation administrative structures as they exist today. And then the last part is clarifying the specific administrative functions that are assigned by the board to the Director General so that he carries his work in a manner that gives him not only the independence he requires to supervise the sector, but also the framework within which he can apply those regulations, including the sanctions in the event of breach. The second specific section that we are commenting on is 3.1.2, section 87, brackets 1, where the amendment is allowing the authority to establish and acquire an aviation training school for public use on a commercial basis. Again, this is consistent with what pertains elsewhere. Aviation in Zambia was dormant for quite a number of years because we lacked a national carrier. Now that we have it, it needs to be fed with people who are properly trained and licensed to operate different types of aircraft in the country. So that the establishment of a training school within which these skills can be aligned and can be brought to bear is another positive aspect which we believe requires us to amend. So we need increased availability of qualified personnel, obviously, as the industry developed, and also it allows the authority to generate additional revenue from the commercial training programs that will be applied out of that training school. You recall, Honorable Chair, that Zambia, with its original training school at Lusaka International Airport, was for many years, in the initial years of our independence, we were the ones where everyone was coming to train because of the good weather and also the airport, which was the runway, which was a proper runway that was built during the early years of Zambia's development. The next step that we are looking at in terms of comments specifically is section 3.2 of the Civil Aviation Amendment Bill, specifically 3.2.1, section 9A, which is a new section. So this section is introducing the fact that there has to be a clear and transparent procedure for prospective applicants who want to establish aerodromes within the country. So it's clarifying the application procedure and the documentation required out of the Zambia Civil Aviation requirements, which are the ZICAs. It clarifies the issuance process for successful applicants who want to establish these aerodromes, as well as the notification processes that are required. And if an application is rejected, then they need to give clear reasons so that the applicant is aware where the shortcomings are. And then they can issue interim certificates pending other specific conditions in the public interest. So all those are being streamlined by these changes in the amendment bills, and we believe that this brings clarity of understanding as well as the timelines within which the certification processes will be carried out. Section 3.2.2, specifically Section 15, again this is new. It is amending Section 76 of the Civil Aviation Authority Act of 2012 by introducing bilateral agreements between the civil aviation authorities in different countries. Honorable Chair, you will recall that when our aircraft that are registered in Zambia, they fly into different countries, then they have to be under the oversight of those countries as they cross those spaces. So you need bilateral agreements for those civil aviation authorities to cooperate with you in the event of incidents and accidents, and therefore it is proper that that structure is put in place to allow for these international collaborations. So that is, we believe, again, this is a very positive step. The amendment, specifically this one, has potential to reduce the turnaround times for introducing new regional routes for the national carrier Zambia Airways, and it also will allow us to foster growth within the aviation industry, because these bilateral arrangements work on a reciprocal basis. So what we give here and the cooperation we give here, we are supposed to also there is an expectation that we'll receive elsewhere in the countries within which we go to operate. Item 4 under our submission is looking at further considerations. We believe that these amendments are positive overall. There may be additional aspects for the committee to consider, specifically the impact on training cost. So the commercialization of the aviation training school and authority could potentially increase training costs for private entities. So we may wish to explore further on how those costs can be mitigated. But overall, this is a positive step. And also, secondly, resource allocation for the authority. The expanded responsibilities for the Director General necessitate additional resources for the Civil Aviation Authority. So the committee will need to look at how the Director General can discharge his responsibilities to fulfill the requirements of the Act by giving him adequate budget. The principle in aviation is that because of the nature of the industry, which requires stringent safety rules which are harmonized internationally, there has to be access to finance to be able to bring those standards and to ensure that the application of those standards is consistent from year to year by having the Civil Aviation Authority getting an adequate budget. So we believe, in conclusion, Honorable Chair and members, that these amendment bills both will significantly improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the operations of the Zambia civil aviation sector, and in particular the oversight responsibility for the Director General at the CAA. I submit, Honorable Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, CEO, for that wonderful submission. Before we proceed, we request our honorable colleagues who joined us later to introduce themselves. Doc.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, fellow members. Good morning, witness. Reverend Dr. Given Katuta Mwelwa. I represent the good people of Chiengi Luapula Province.
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, IDC. My name is Newton Samakai, Member of Parliament for Mwinulunga constituency in the Northwestern Province and a member of this committee.
Kindly use this. Honorable Mandandi, you may proceed to introduce yourself, even off mic, it's okay.
Thank you so much, Chair. And good morning, witness. My name is Mandandi Karia, Member of Parliament for the good people of Siena constituency in the Western Province.
Thank you so much. At this juncture, we will request honorable members to ask questions unless CEO Zambia Airways equally has a question. Oh, sorry, a submission to make.
Thank you, Chair. No, we have the same submission with IDCCO.
Thank you. Well guided. We'll start with Honorable Dr. Kalila.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I noticed that the amendments being proposed could best be described as being non-contentious. We will support it generally looking at them as they seek to enhance safety and also bring into play some aspects which could previously have been overlooked. So it's just to allow the Director General or the CAA to run a training school, if I got it correctly. Yeah, so I'm just wondering who on that approach to whether the CAA is. So that would clarify that, because I believe that has been the precedent before. Secondly, as regulators, the CAA, my understanding is that they were already mandated to license various cadre of aviation staff, pilots, including licensing aircraft, etc., etc. But I noticed that, again, your submission is saying that, well, the Act now seeks to empower them to do so. So they were already doing that. So what exactly are we trying to do? Or are we just overstating, for clarity's sake, what was already being done? Is that the issue here? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc. Honorable Mpundu, then Honorable Mtiki.
Thank you very much, Chair. Aviation industry is one of the industry that has got a lot of dynamics and a lot of innovation. To overcome this, capacity building is critical. As IDC oversees this industry, how capacitated are you in terms of civil aviation? Because enacting the law or amending the law is one way, but it goes in that you need to be capacitated as you go on. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, CEO, for your comprehensive presentation. I'm just taking advantage of your presence here as the people on the most on the enterprises, including Airways. The civil aviation industry is a very expensive industry where a lot of expensive equipment, radars and everything, aeroplanes are invested in. But in Zambia, we are still an emerging market. So if you consider the passenger cargo traffic is very, very low. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that while we are investing more into the safety aspects and all that, we are not getting the right turnover in terms of what we should benefit from the economics of air traffic. So what is that IDC can do to help Zambia Airways to improve and to invest more probably in the airline and other airlines so that we can get the required traffic, both passenger and cargo, that will justify the investment that we are putting in the civil aviation industry. I submit, Chair.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Mtike. Witness, you may proceed to respond to the 3 questions, and we'll get another set of 3.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think the Honorable Member has probably summarized the first one, is that the amendments are non-contentious because they are really clarifying on a number of issues, including the role of the Director General and also the manner in which the licensing programs, including the information required and the timelines that are required for those programs. This is being clarified. So it's really clarifying and cross-referencing across the Act that we are seeking. Members are right that there is nothing new in terms of the primary responsibilities of the Director General of the CAA. Yes, they have been doing licensing, but the licensing regime in terms of both personnel and aircraft and aerodrome certification is evolving according to ICAO annexes. So we need to upgrade our local regulations to be in harmony with those ICAO annexes. So that is what we are seeking to do, is to bring the structure and systems up to date. So indeed, there is nothing new. The aspect of the training school, yes, this will be commercial to the Civil Aviation Authority, because then it allows them to have a commercial entity where they can generate revenues. So it is a good thing for them because there is a budgetary issue that needs to be covered. So they must have that opportunity, which is consistent with other civil aviation authorities elsewhere. ZASTI, I think, is now under the Ministry of Transport. So I think it's probably going to be a complicated issue to now vest it back in Civil Aviation Authority. So the best thing is to liberalize the market. No, by allowing them to be also to invest. Because in terms of capacity for the industry, we are very low. That school, ZASTI, has very little capacity to satisfy what we believe will be the demand for the aviation skills. If you remember, ZASTI was concentrating on training ab initio pilots. But in addition, there are other disciplines in aviation. You need flight dispatchers, you need air traffic controllers. There are many disciplines. So that requires that we open up a little bit for those specific skills to be brought to bear. In terms of the capacity of the CAA to do this, we have regulations. Usually the civil aviation authorities draw from the industry itself. So if we had a thriving aviation industry, then the CAA would be able to draw inspectors from there for both the flight operations and maintenance, inspectors from there for the aerodromes and for all the other operators. But the fact that our industry has shrunk so much that we don't have those queues, it means in terms of capacity there are certain areas where we are suffering and where we might have to look for skills elsewhere to augment what we have. So that is why the training issue is very important and critical. Aviation is expensive, yes, the investment. Do we have enough traffic? Unfortunately, what has happened in the country, since we have not had a national carrier of our own, we have fragmented the traffic rights. we have given what is termed as fifth freedom traffic right for everyone to come here and pick and go. So it means that the national carrier, at this start, it's struggling to rebalance those traffic rights. So the usual thing is that when you go to these other countries, they would also give you the same rights. But what we are seeing that these countries are reluctant to give away what we have given here. So we will need to work with our civil aviation authorities to see how we can have that bilateral balance for our national carrier. And that is what will bring scale to the investment and a return on what we would have invested to make Zambia Airways pay. So at the end of the day, the economics of Zambia Airways, that's why you see them carefully selecting routes to grow. And therefore we need the entire structure of civil aviation to support them, because the national carrier plays a very critical role in the development of any country to provide that infrastructure for communications and transport. I submit, Honorable Chair.
Thank you so much. We'll get the first question from Honorable Reverend Katuta.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you, DG. You are the ones who are regulating these, I would say you are in charge of civil aviation, right? Now, the question is, why do the planes which are taking off from Zambia, I've got three questions for you. Planes which are taking off from Zambia, they spray that thing, which they claim, to disinfect flights. And when you are coming from East Africa, I've been to Somalia, I've been to Ethiopia, I've been to Kenya, you leave the airports, I don't see them spraying that stuff. Even in South Africa. Why have you allowed that Zambians should be subjected to this humiliation? And if you look at the flights, Ethiopian Airlines, Kenyan Airways, and also Emirates, the kind of planes that they send to Africa, in particular Zambia, Chair, I use the word pathetic. The services, the food, like Kenyan Airways, you can't even charge your phone on the, but you allow them to come and land. But when you go to their countries, going to East Africa or any other country, they'll give you better planes. Thirdly, I want to ask, I know you've labored to explain about how we can grow Zambia Airways. They are carefully choosing their routes. Chair, I'm at pains to see we have Air Botswana, we have Air Rwanda, we've got Air Tanzania, we've got these and that, and yet we're trying to grow our airline, which we may not even own, 100%. So I would like to know as to how you intend to protect the Zambia Airways. Like the way South Africa has done, it has protected South African Airways at all costs despite it making losses. So those are the questions I have, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend. Witness, you have another question, Honorable
Just a follow-up on what Honorable Katuta was saying. I want to take advantage of the South African
Honorable
Zambia Airways.
Your mic.
I want to take advantage of the Zambia Airways CEO being here as well. I want to believe that Zambia Airways is still in partnership with Ethiopian Airline. So I was just to follow up on her question as well. Why can't we have some of those nice aeroplanes that Ethiopian Airlines have to operate in Zambia from here to Johannesburg directly, or from here to Europe? And maybe as a follow-up to Honorable Katuta as well, if you have, I don't think Airbus has ever landed in Zambia. Why can't we have those Airbus? What stops aeroplanes like Airbus come to Zambia? If you want to join an Airbus, you have to go to South Africa and fly to Europe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll get the last question from Honorable Dr. Kalila.
So Chair, initially I avoided delving into matters outside the bill, but noting that my colleagues have been allowed to go a little bit, taking advantage of the presence of Zambia Airways and also IDC, I think that it's just in order that we can be availed an opportunity to hear as national leaders on the question of Zambian Airways and its growth strategy. So we can really rest from asking you these questions, which are very valid from my colleagues. Most members of parliament are well traveled, as you can imagine, almost on a monthly basis, so they are very much aware and do compare and see. I'm sure you can understand those questions. So perhaps you can briefly highlight to us where you want to be, say in the next 2 years, in terms of service, in terms of the quality of the planes, and all these questions, so we can know about this, and sometimes we are able to defend you, because now we contribute to those attacking you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Dr. Kalila. I think the honorable members are on firm ground. I deliberately allowed the questions because they are in line with what we are discussing. As a matter of fact, IDC is trying their level best to ensure that the national carrier is revamped, and also their objective as well is to turn this country into an aviation hub. So basically, by them trying to respond to this audit that we are trying to respond to positively here, they need to assure us of what benefits the country is going to have. So we are on firm ground. Witness, you may kindly proceed to respond to the questions.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable members, the questions are quite pertinent. I can understand where the members are coming from. The first question was, why do we allow these bad planes? For us, we are an investor in the airline industry. We own 55% of Zambia Airways, together with our partners, Ethiopian Airlines. So usually when you start an airline, you put in the work, you work for 5-10 years to make yourself attractive to an international party who has a much more extensive network, so that you can reach worldwide in terms of ticketing as well as marketing. So for us, I think by partnering with an established carrier which has a worldwide network, it means that from day one, Zambia Airways, its network and visibility goes worldwide with our partners. So it is very much a good thing. I have heard the mamas in some quarters of the Zambian people, especially on social media. This is a good thing, because most startup airlines cannot have those interline relationships from day one, and they will be struggling to get passengers. So we are basically an investor in Zambia Airways, trying to bring high standard aviation services to the people as well as to the economy of this country. That's what that structure is about. Those of us who are older, they remember the days of Zambia Airways, which was very strong, had a worldwide network. It's a pity that we lost that investment, but we are now trying to get that back. So I said careful growth because, like I indicated before, by the fact that we didn't have a national carrier, we have fragmented our rights. So it requires a careful business plan, which the CEO will explain in terms of where they are going. We have requested for a long-term business plan that takes us there. The other airlines, they choose the planes that they bring to different markets based on the traffic and the assessment of the markets. From a passenger point of view, usually if passengers are not happy with their service, then they vote with their feet. They go to another carrier. So what we are doing here, by making sure that Zambia Airways is there, it gives honorable members an option for you to move from those planes which you don't like from the other carriers into your own national carrier. And we are resourcing it, and we are going to be investing into newer planes to make sure that we give you the service that you require. There is a broader aspect here also, in that these national airlines, in their home countries, they control their traffic because people are loyal to them. Here we have Zambia Airways, and it is perhaps unfortunate that Zambians have not realized that you need to feed your own child first before you feed other people's children. Otherwise your child will starve. So Zambia Airways is here. Zambians, I don't know how many have realized, know where they fly to, but my expectation is that Zambians will flock to fly their own carrier, so that the money circulates within the economy rather than going to develop other countries. So that is all that I would say on that one, Honorable Chair. In terms of the insecticide that's sprayed onto the cabin, that is a World Health Organization issue. It's not only here, in other countries. I've seen it in many countries being done. The insecticide is non-toxic. It is really well regulated in terms of standards. I would just request that please don't feel humiliated by that. It's a standard that's been established across the industry, and we are trying to put international standards to our services. I know in some parts they don't do it, but it is required under some regulations, the same way that we have made amendments to our regulations. Different countries have those regulations which require that when you land, you actually show the empty cans of those insecticides as regulations. So that's why you see airlines doing that, because they are following those standards. Yes, we are in partnership with Ethiopian Airlines, and I think I've explained the strategy there. It takes us from day one into a worldwide network. In terms of the growth strategy for Zambia Airways, I think let me request the CEO. He is best qualified to talk about his own business plan. So I submit, Honorable Chair.
Thank you so much, CEO. Yes, CEO Zambia Airways, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. As the Group CEO indicated, we are engaged in a controlled growth pattern. So what we have been doing this year was to expand our services, particularly on the domestic, initially to the corporate, to Ndola, to Livingston. Our presence was very limited. We were not giving much options to passengers, but now we are flying at least 2 times to Ndola every day and once to Livingston. We only had 2 flights per week to Livingston, so that was not competitive. That did not give option to customers. Now we're flying daily to Livingston and 3 times weekly to Solwezi. Other domestic points like Mfwe, Kasama, are these in our growth plans, but there was some issues with the airport. The airport was being closed for temporary maintenance. Because of that, we were forced to delay the operation to Mfwe, but that would be in our plan by towards the end of this year. On the domestic, we are serving Johannesburg now, and we recently launched Dar es Salaam. Nairobi was also in our plan. It did not succeed due to some operational issues which are under follow-up with Kenya authorities. But we plan to commence Nairobi operations as early as possible. It's been escalated to appropriate government bodies for follow-up. As Group CEO earlier mentioned, traffic rights have been fragmented here. Everybody has the right to take local passengers. Every airline and almost all airlines have the right to carry local traffic from Zambia, but that benevolence is not being reciprocated by others. So that is an area where, so as we go along also, our plans are to expand to East Africa. We have Lumumbashi is in our plans, where we believe there is huge traffic. More points in South Africa. That's our plans. And Harare also is there. The problem again, this fragmentation has made it very difficult for the national airline or any Zambia-based airline to do a viable business to Harare, because everybody is taking traffic from Lusaka, Emirates, Ethiopian, Qatar, Kenya Airways. So for us, for them, it's just they do it on their way. They can even sell it for $40. It would still be profitable. But for us, based here, it will be difficult. So that is a challenge we have as we plan to expand. But we still have our plans, as honorable member requested, in the next 2 years. Currently, we're operating with 2 aircraft. We have now 2 aircraft. Two. One 737 aircraft and one -8 aircraft, 77-seater and for the domestic, and 118 for the Joburg route and for the Dar es Salaam route. We will have a second 737 aircraft very soon, but that will be subject to securing the necessary permits to Kenya, to Nairobi, along with fifth freedom rights between Dar es Salaam and Nairobi, because now to bring in an aircraft and do nothing with it will be a challenge. Otherwise, we should immediately have a second 737 aircraft, and way forward, we'll replace the 737 aircraft with modern fleet within the next 2 years, modern fleet of the 737 MAX aircraft. Of course, we also will be looking to modern aircraft, bigger aircraft, but that will depend on the traffic size we have. So now, Johannesburg is a big market, but there are a lot of operators. We are there, ProFlight is there, Rwanda Air. They can carry passengers from Lusaka to Johannesburg. There is South African, there is Safair, there is Airlink. So when you divide it, there is a traffic of annual of around 200,000 passengers. But when you divide it, per day it's about around 300 passengers per day. When we share it, it's not big. So maybe for now, for the next 2-3 years, a 737 capacity would be adequate for our purposes. That's what we envision. But as we go along into a 5-year, 10-year strategic plan, definitely we'll be acquiring bigger aircraft, which can also go up to West Africa. That would be, but immediately our plan would be to keep the aircraft modern, but operate mostly with capacity of a MAX aircraft, which carries around 180 passengers. So we really have the support from the CAA and IDC, but that needs to be strengthened because for the national airline to perform a viable operation, it would really require getting reciprocal rights from others. And I think it's also not a bad idea to limit what other operators can do when it comes to the domestic market. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CEO. We'll get a question from Honorable Reverend Katuta, and then Dr. Kalila, and Honorable Samakai.
Thank you, Chair. DG, it's just a follow-up on my question, Chair. As you are aware, apart from MPs, or I would say those who are at the national level, they've been traveling, including yourself. The reason I asked that question, if you say that thing is non-toxic, but it's a chemical that kills something, which Zambians inhale. The question I wanted you to respond to is saying insects. So the WHO have discovered these insects only come from Zambia. When we're traveling out of Zambia, we carry those insects. Because this question is very, very, very important, Chair. I want to ask on behalf of many Zambians. That thing, if it's not toxic, why does it kill an insect? Because anything that kills another thing, then there's a chemical content in it. And only here in Zambia, you come with this, for example, South African Airways or Airlink. When you're taking off from here, they'll spray that stuff. Okay? But when you're coming from there, they don't do that. Whether you're coming from East Africa or what. So maybe for the sake of the public, so WHO has discovered that in Zambia, that's where this particular insect is, that the passengers carry from Zambia onto the plane. And the other question is for the DG, the Zambia Airlines. You want to grow your business. I mean, it's the same DG for IDC. You're encouraging Zambians to leave these these other poorly serviced airplanes that are different from the ones that you find that Kenyan Airways, if you fly from Nairobi to the other side of the world, it's different, better planes. But do you realize that Zambian Airways, their service is equally bad? The food, they wrap into some plastics. It's just, the service is bad. It's worse than those where we are running from. So how do you intend to help this particular airline that we have in our country to grow? Because the services that are with the Zambian Airways is nothing to talk about, worse than where we are running from. How do you intend to help this airline? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Dr. Kalila.
So, Chair, it's just a follow-up. Basically on the growth strategies, we have been briefed by both the Group CEO and also the CEO of Zambian Airways. As I get it, obviously, IDC is an investor into this venture on our behalf as citizens of this country, and that is commendable given that we know the importance of a national carrier in terms of promoting tourism and just generally connectivity of its citizens. So the issue here is that the concerns are that a lot of airlines currently fly into this country and they enjoy unfettered access to the passengers, and that it would be very useful if at least something was done to try and promote our new baby, that is Zambian Airways. So the question I have is what stops? Is there any breach that would be occasioned if we did that? Either the the Civil Aviation Authority, or yourself as IDC in collaboration with the Civil Aviation Authority. What are the fears in doing that? Because you need preferential treatment to your own business to be able to grow. So if you just leave it like that, I can assure you this airline would never really get to where we want it to go. That's number one. Number two, also, if you want to make it attractive, why would you start with the very old, basically second-rate or third-rate planes? Why not, CEO, bring those modern aircraft that you are talking about right from the outset? So then it would be more attractive. And also to echo the sentiments, I mean, I flew there recently, a week, I think, ago to Johannesburg, and I was appalled at the presentation of our air hostesses. I don't think they need to be, I mean, when you look at them and you compare with the other girls we see, and boys we see in other, I don't know, I mean, I'm not really, I mean, these are our children, we need them, but I think for that industry, I was wondering how they were recruited or selection? Because I know that one of the requirements for cabin crew is that they must be of a certain attractive standard, right? Yeah, but it's not the case, and I don't know what you can say about that. Yeah, and then also, this is just for my own sake, who this is directed to the IDC. I would like to believe we have a board. Who would you care to give us briefly some of the board members, if in terms of their qualifications? Who is the board chair? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kalila. Honorable Samakai.
Chair, thank you very much. We have heard the strategies that are put in place and I've followed very carefully, but just for my interest and my colleagues, if they please, has Ethiopian Airways brought have they brought the aircrafts that were signed for, and how many were they that were signed for, and how many have they brought? And I need to concur with my colleague when I said, why don't you bring the best aircraft than starting with the second-hand aircrafts. So my interest is, have you brought the right number and quality of aircrafts that were signed for in the agreement at the time you were signing?
Thank you, Honorable Samakai. Witness, you may please proceed to respond to the questions.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. And thank you, members, for those questions.
And by the way, CEO, the ones that you feel you are not ready for them, you can feel free to leave them. Those that you are comfortable responding to, please, you can proceed to respond.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Samakai.
Point of order, Chair. Chair, I tend not to agree with that advice, Chair, and that is why they are submitting under immunity. So they are covered. They don't need to fear anything. Maybe, Chair, may I request that you revise your advice?
Thank you so much, Honorable Samakai. Thank you, Dr. Kalila. I think I'll agree with what Dr. Kalila mentioned at first. Our witness was given an inquiry and they came prepared in line with the inquiry that was given to them. But because this is a very serious matter, we had given a leeway that we go a little outside. But I've noticed, especially as an aviation man, that we have completely stretched them off what we are supposed to inquire from them. So I insist we give them an opportunity to respond to what they are comfortable with, and what they are not comfortable with, they can respond to us later. You may proceed, witness.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, members. I think the questions from members are pertinent and they reflect probably the sentiments of the public as well. So we'll do our best to clarify on all those elements. I think the member went back to the question of why do we spray the insecticides? They are sprayed because it's part of the civil aviation requirements where the aircraft is going. So I try to explain in the same way that we have our bill here which requires airlines to follow certain routes. Each country has its own requirements. And in those countries where they require that when an aircraft is arriving, they must show evidence that they have sprayed the cabin with an approved insecticide which has been certified worldwide as safe by the International Civil Aviation Organization and the World Health Organization. That is the one that normally is used. So that is why in certain countries, if you are not required to, under civil aviation rules, to spray where you are going, the destination, then you would not spray. That is why from South Africa to come to Zambia, our rules do not require that insecticide. Therefore, the airlines would not spray. When you are going back and when you are going to those other countries like Grenada, India, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and others, they have rules which say, you airline, you must show evidence. So that is done. So that is why it's done, and like I said, the standard of the chemical has been certified as safe. So we are comfortable with airlines because we have tested the efficacy of that, and it has been approved by all these civil aviation authorities. So that is the first one, preferential treatment for the national carrier. And that is why I was saying we have to realize as Zambians that this is our airline. In as much as other airlines have been enjoying services for 33 years almost without a national carrier. And as you say, they have not given you the best service. It is important that you take your own destiny in your hands. And that is why it was critical to establish the national carrier again. But the national carrier started operating in 2021. We are in 2024. It's barely 3 years. This is an infant. It is at this time that we require the support of all the Zambian people, because this is your child. And it can only grow by giving it a service. Otherwise, where will it find passengers? It cannot get Europeans because they don't know us. It cannot get other passengers from the countries. It is us to grow. That is why I'm saying Zambians must learn to circulate their wealth and build institutions of our own. So we owe it. If we are not happy with the service, yes, let's complain, but everything has to be financed. We can't complain without having a stake. So we are giving the Zambians the opportunity to take a stake in this airline by giving it service. That's the most important thing, is for you to be a customer. It allows them to earn money to invest and reinvest in all those nice things that we want to see. So it is critical for me that this point is understood by all of us. Bringing modern aircraft, again, is related to financing. As a startup, normally, yes, you can start if you have a lot of financing, you can start with modern aircraft. Like I was saying, in this market, which was fragmented, the losses would be astronomical for an airline that has given away all its passengers to others. We have to consolidate so that that investment is not wasted and the project fails. In terms of the look and feel of the cabin crew, I think the CEO of the airline has heard that message. It's a message directly to Zambia Airways. And I think we need to modernize and make sure that our people look attractive. I don't know what the member means by attractiveness, but we believe that all Zambians are very attractive, but there is a standard that we need to maintain, and I think CEO has heard that message. If we are not happy with the uniform and the quality, then they must upgrade and change so that we have the best that we can see and can be proud of. I don't want to give my opinions on that because I'm also their customer, and I do give them feedback about some of those elements. But yes, they are here, they must modernize. Let our people be proud of what they are doing. Let them feel they are in an institution that is going somewhere. And I think those sentiments are well understood, Honorable Chair, and we are grateful for those comments. how many aircraft were brought. Under the agreement, we had 3 aircraft initially for startup. The startup is a 5-year period, so we are just barely in the 3rd year now. So in these 5 years, we need to bring the 3 aircraft that were in the original agreement, and as the CEO has confirmed, that program is underway. So we should be able to achieve all of that. I submit, Honorable Chair.
Thank you so much. And I think as we try to wind up, I just wanted to ride on Honorable Dr. Kalila's question when he was asking about preference. How much support are you receiving from government? Do you have any deliberate policy like we have seen in other countries where Secretary to Cabinet gives a guidance that all government institutions, parastatals, as well as anybody traveling on government program must give priority to the national carrier? Do we have any such, or do we have intentions of coming up with such policies so that we can support our national carrier?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We don't have such guidelines at the moment, but we do have at IDC a group trading policy, which we are encouraging all our entities to understand that we need to support each other where we are able to offer those services rather than going elsewhere. The same goes, we own an entity also on behalf of the Zambia people called Zamtel. I hear a lot of complaints about Zamtel, and then I ask people, do they have a Zamtel number? They don't. Maybe even esteemed members of the National Assembly might not have a Zamtel number. They are able to provide services. Everybody else sits on their infrastructure. But they are struggling because we are not supporting them. Again, I don't understand that. Because in most countries, the national telecom company is the biggest and the best because they give it business and they support it. They put policies which ensure that that investment goes there instead of supporting other communications network who take the proceeds outside of this country. It will help us to stabilize the exchange rate. It will lower the cost of living within the country. So that message for us to build our institutions is critical not only to Zambia Airways but to the other sectors as well. Regarding the support from government, I'm sure government is aligned to support the airline, but we have lost institutional knowledge on how an airline needs to be supported. So we are in the business of reminding people that there are areas where you need to look after your own. There are regulations which need to be geared towards ensuring your institutions are growing. And also, in terms of difficulty, we need to act fast. I know Zambia Airways wanted to go to Kenya last month, but they were preventing from landing over there. We should have done something as a country because we have given them rights here to be able to get them to move there quickly. So there are mechanisms. I would say that the country has forgotten how to support airlines. We need to remind in a coordinated way, including at our airports. They are supposed to have, the national carrier must have primary infrastructure to offer services. They must have their own dedicated lounge space. They must be able to put in hotel for transit passengers. They must be able to have their desks in terms of check-in on a process that allows them to be able to offer a good product. We find that these institutions somehow have forgotten how to support a national carrier. So we are now busy reminding everyone in this first growth stage, which is the first 5 years, that the national carrier needs to be supported. I submit, Honorable Chair.
Thank you so much, CEO. Yeah, indeed. No, CEO, we are extremely humbled and grateful once more. At this moment, we'll give you an opportunity to give us your concluding remarks.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Like we said before, on reviewing the two amendment bills, Amendment Bill number 9 and number 10 of 2024, we believe that the proposed changes will be beneficial to the civil aviation framework in the country, and therefore we are in support. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you so much, CEO, once more. We wish you all the best, and this committee will definitely be looking forward to a successful growth of our national carrier, the Zambia airline. Thank you so much, and may the good Lord bless you. And before you leave, allow me to withdraw the immunity that was conferred upon you and your team. God bless you.
Parliament is open to members of the general public who may wish to undertake familiarization tours of Parliament buildings, either in groups or as individuals, or to attend sittings of the House or parliamentary committees. All those wishing to visit Parliament can either write to the Clerk of the National Assembly of Zambia or simply come to Parliament buildings. Upon arrival at Parliament buildings, visitors are required to identify themselves. A passport or national registration card is required for identification purposes. All visitors to parliamentary premises are required to wear smart attire, either office or casual wear. Before gaining access to the galleries, all visitors are oriented and issued with passes by the Security Department at the Media and Visitors Center. Those whom permission is granted to sit in the galleries will be ushered to the appropriate galleries by protocol officers. Furthermore, visitors are not allowed to take with them into the galleries such articles as walking sticks, umbrellas, briefcases or parcels of any type, newspapers, magazines or cell phones. All such articles must be deposited at the reception desk. Visitors to the galleries are given copies of the order paper which shows the order in which the business of that particular day would be taken. You can follow all parliamentary sessions and committee sittings on GoTV Channel 28, Topstar Channel 5, DSTV Channel 272, Parliament Radio, or like the National Assembly of Zambia Facebook page. You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you. My eParliament mobile application. First, download the app on either Play Store or App Store and install. After installation, open the app. Step 1. Register your personal information, that's your names, gender, NRC and date of birth. Step 2. Add your contact information, your email, phone number and home address. Step 3. Select your constituency. Step 4. Create your 4-digit PIN. At this point, the system will send an SMS to your mobile number with a one-time passcode. Step 5. Confirm with one-time passcode that was sent to your mobile. Step 6. Sign in using your phone number and the 4-digit PIN. And step 7, create your submission and submit. My e-Parliament, bringing Parliament closer to you.
Good morning, witness, and welcome to Cabinet Affairs Committee. We will request honorable members to introduce themselves, as well as the Secretariat and the permanent witness. Thereafter, we request you to introduce yourselves. Honorable Samakai.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. My name is Newton Samakai, Member of Parliament for Mwinlonga constituency in the Northwestern Province, and I'm a member of this committee.
Good morning, witness. Peter Piri is my name, Member of Parliament from Kaika constituency. Thank you.
Good morning, witness. I'm Engineer Oliver Amutike, Member of Parliament for Mongo Central, the home of the Komboka ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have our other honorable colleague who's with us virtually. Honorable Musonda, kindly introduce yourself. Honorable Musonda, are you there? Okay, Secretariat.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, ZIPA. My name is Fanwa Chiwama from the Office of the Clerk. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Timothy Lumba from the Office of the Clerk.
Through you, Chair. My name is James Moyaka Wongwe, ICT Department, National Assembly.
Permanent witness.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, witness. My name is Darius Shachinda from the Ministry of Justice, sitting in as permanent witness.
Thank you. My name is Lubusha Andrew. I'm Member of Parliament for Chipangali constituency of Eastern Province. I am the Chairperson for Cabinet Affairs Committee. You may kindly proceed to introduce yourselves.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members of the committee. My name is John Mututwa, and this is the team we have come to present on the memorandum, ramification of the Civil Aviation Authority Amendment Bill and the Civil Aviation Amendment Bill of 2010. Sincere apologies. We have board meetings this entire week, so our interim director could not join us. But this is the team that was involved in one way or the other in putting together the document. Before we start, I will allow them to introduce themselves, starting from the far end.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. Good morning, the committee. My name is Ngandulu Shomo, Research Assistant from ZIPA.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. Good morning, Honorable Members. My name is Zambwe Shingwele. I'm the Associate Researcher in the Transport and Infrastructure Development Unit at ZIPA. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Honorable Members of Parliament. My name is Emmanuel Muma, and I'm a Research Fellow from the Trade and Investment Unit. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and Honorable Members. My name is Molo Abanda, a researcher at ZIPA.
Thank you so much, ZIPA. Whenever you appear before a parliamentary committee, you're appearing before a miniature parliament, therefore you tend to enjoy the same benefits that are enjoyed by honorable members of parliament during the sitting of parliament. In line with the Zambian constitution, precisely cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, you are therefore conferred upon with immunity that whatever you are going to submit before this committee or said during our interaction cannot be used against you in any courts of law or anywhere within the land of Zambia. However, the same cap 12 can be used against you if you deliberately mislead this committee. This committee is very confident that you cannot willfully mislead it, therefore it urges you to feel free as you make your submission. You may kindly proceed to submit.
Thank you, Chair. Like I said, my name is John Mututwa, a research fellow in the transport and infrastructure. I'll lead you through this presentation. Our presentation will be in three parts. The first part is the introduction. Basically, we'll look at the background, which is the performance of the aviation sector in Zambia in the recent decade or so. And then we'll look at the importance of amending the Act, why they are important and why we are here. Number two is the main aspect of our presentation, ramifications of the bill. We'll look at it in four aspects. Number one is the policy, institutional and legal frameworks. Number two, we'll look at adherence to international standards. Number three, we are looking at improving aviation safety and security. Number four, efficiency and streamlining of processes. And then I'll conclude with the recommendations. In the introduction, ZIPA was asked to provide an analysis on the ramification of the Civil Aviation Authority, that is Amendment Bill 9 of 2024, and Civil Aviation Amendment Bill of number 10 of 2024. We look at four particular issues, as I've already indicated. But before I move in, just to put a caveat that due to the limited time that we had in putting together the analysis, this document was mainly prepared from what we call secondary data analysis from existing documents, so we did not make any primary data analysis. That said, ZIPA, we have already done enough work in the sector, including even during the time of re-establishment of the national airline. Therefore, we have somewhere to start from. Okay, as we move on the performance of the sector, we can confidently indicate that like the overall transport industry, the aviation industry is very important to contribute to socio-economic development. It facilitates trade, it facilitates access to market, but also exchange of services, especially with regard to international travel. And we observe that in the recent years, or decades so to speak, the aviation sector in Zambia has continued to grow, and we note a number of things that have happened. One, I think we've had upgrading of international airport, Kenneth Kaunda International, Ndola, Harimwanga Nkumbula, but also the aerodromes in our provincial headquarters. They are very important. As I noted earlier, also the establishment of the national airline. It was very important to bring back the confidence. We note that fast forward to 2020, post the COVID-19 pandemic, we say that the sector has continued to show resilience and recover. Why? Because the pandemic brought to a halt international travel, and aviation is the one that suffered. So we see that the numbers have rebounded. For 2023, according to Zambia Airports Corporation Limited, total number of passengers stands at 2.1 million passengers. That is a huge recovery from about 500,000 in 2020. According to airports, I think this performance, as I indicated, has been attributed to a number of factors. Improvement in amenities like airports, but also the establishment of the national airline. However, we note that whether this performance, impressive performance, will be sustained going forward remains to be seen, because it can partly be argued that it is simply recovery from the pandemic as the global aviation comes back to a normal. And figure one there just simply indicates the performance in terms of passenger numbers. In terms of the need to amend the Act, specifically the Civil Aviation Authority Amendment Bill number 9 and Civil Aviation Amendment Bill 10, they repeal and augment the Civil Aviation Authority, that is number 7 of 2012, and the Civil Aviation Act number 5 of 2016. Now these instruments, legal instruments, are very important for one simple reason. They are the main instrument that underpin our policy, institutional and legal framework in the sector. And therefore, their enhancing is very important for, number one, like we said, improving safety and security. Number two, improvement of competitiveness in the sector, especially we live in a global community where we have to operate in other airspaces. But also, most importantly, ensuring adherence to international standards and practices. As you get to see as we move forward, we are a member of ICAO, and therefore we have to adhere to certain standards. I move to page 3 of our document. Possible ramification, and we start with number 1, just to lay the background in terms of policy. In Zambia, Ministry of Transport and Logistics is responsible for policy, that is planning, implementation, and monitoring and evaluation. We get to see again at that level, since 2022, we have what we call the National Aviation Strategy, which aims to, number 1, to promote safe, secure, and efficient aviation development in the country. As a quick background maybe, it's also very important to indicate that before we had the Civil Aviation Authority by 2020, the functions of regulation was being overseen by the Department of Civil Aviation in the then Ministry of Transport and Logistics. So we observed that this was against International Civil Organization Association, ICAO, what are called standards and recommended practice. And therefore by 2012, we established CAA, Civil Aviation Authority. This was very important because it brought back confidence, because there was very important that an independent institution be responsible to oversee that. So the amendment bills that we are looking for today, they simply come to reinforce that bill. When we look at Civil Aviation Authority Amendment Bill 9, it reinforces the Principal Act of 2012, and then number 10 reinforces number 5 of 2016. Adherence to international standards. As I indicated, besides the domestic legal framework that we have, we are a member of what we call, we have signed the Chicago Convention, which established the International Civil Aviation Organization with its standards and recommended practice. And therefore, our continued participation as a country, Zambia, in international aviation is predicated on us conforming to those regulations. We note the establishment of CAA, but also the developments that have come in the sector, including the establishment of the Aircraft Accidents Investigation Board. We move to number 2, which is simply improving aviation safety and security. Maybe I'll dwell a minute or so on this one because it's very important. We also note that the Civil Aviation Amendment Bill, that is number 10, which amends the Civil Aviation Act. This is the act, members of the House, that established the Aircraft Accident Investigation Board, that is 2016, establishes that. It's very important because we want to draw your attention to Section 12 of the bill, which repeals and replaces Section 60 of the Principal Act. We quote there, for example, it extends the use of what they call on-board and non-on-board recording by aircraft. Maybe to go beyond what is written there, simply what the bill does is it opens the sector, so to speak, to new development in the sector. Before in the Act you say you can only, if you're investigating, look at the on-board recording. But this time, for example, imagine if an aircraft is passing, maybe there is a recording outside. Whether it's a drone or whether it's a phone or whatever source of technology is used, that can be taken into account in this case. So simply the bill extends what the board can use as it takes that into account. We note one thing, that stated, it is worth noting that whether or not such progress will be achieved depends on the capacity, both human and financial, of Zambia's Aircraft Accident Investigation Board. Now, usually when we sign agreements or when we pass a law, we applaud them for what they are supposed to do. Whether or not we achieve that depends on the capacity of the institution that have that responsibility. Something to note. We move to number 3, efficiency and streamlining of processes. We also note that the amendment bill, that is number 10, will improve the efficiency in the aviation sector. We give a couple of examples. For example, Section 12 of the bill replaces and repeals Section 57 of the Principal Act, which by outlining specific reasons under which the Director General of Civil Aviation Authority may, 1, amend 2, alter, 3, modify, and 4, suspend or revoke air operator certificates. If you go to the specific bills, you find those reasons stipulated. What it does that it facilitates these certification processes, but also remove any ambiguity that might be there. We are ZIPA, we are socio-economic think tank, so I'm sure institutions like Ministry of Justice will be able to give you details in terms of the legalities, but that's what we see. So overall, these changes are designed to reduce 1, bureaucratic delays, number 2, improve the efficiency of the certification system, as I earlier indicated, also enhance competition and innovation in the sector. These are very important developments to note. As I conclude, we note that over the years, the aviation sector has continued to develop and thrive on the back of what we call robust policy, institutional and legal framework. So we note the establishment of Civil Aviation Authority in 2012, and from that time we have made significant strides in conforming to what we call standards and recommended practice of ICAO. Also in the same vein, the establishment of the accident board. This is something that is very important, and we keep repeating it because it deserves that weight. So therefore, the amendment bill, both number 9 and 10, represent what we call further developments to improve Zambia's aviation sector. So by improving or reinforcing the principal acts, the 2 bills aim to reinforce the country's policy, institutional and legal framework, and thus enhance Zambia's civil aviation safety and security. In the process, these changes are vital, as I indicated earlier, to enhance adherence to international standards, improve efficiency in various certification processes. And therefore, it is ZIPA's recommendation that the 2 bills, depending on the stage where they are, that they are signed and adopted accordingly, as they represent positive development in the sector. Chair, thank you so much. We'll stop here.
Thank you so much for that very good submission. We will request honorable members to ask questions. We will start with Honorable Mutike.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much to the witness, ZIPA, for coming to help us so that we come up with the best amendment to the bill. Maybe just 2 questions. One is on the legal framework. Whether you think the legal framework governing the aviation industry is currently adequate enough and in line with the best practices, as being practiced in other countries. And the second one is the probably your comment on the institutional arrangement of the various players in the aviation industry here in Zambia, whether also they are in line with other aviation entities in other jurisdictions, or whether this, you feel, being people who are involved in research, whether there is something we can do better to ensure the autonomy of the civil aviation industry, or authority rather, the Civil Aviation Authority. I think those are my 2 questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mtike. Any more questions, Honorable members? Okay, witness, you may proceed to respond to the question.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Honorable, for those 2 questions. I think I'll start with question number 1. Is the legal framework adequate to manage the sector? I think the blunt answer is no, and I'll give a very simple reason. Usually with legal framework, it's a work in progress, and part of this amendment bill, both the Civil Aviation Authority number 9 and the Civil Aviation Act, their job is to reinforce this legal framework. For example, I think there's something we note in our page that as an aircraft, for example, goes into foreign airspace, the bill proposes that the functions of Civil Aviation Authority be transferred to that member of ICAO. So that is an improvement, something that is required by the international standards according to ICAO. So simple answer, is it adequate or not? It's a work in progress, and I think these 2 bills will help improve that. Number 2, institutional players. How is the institutional setup with regard to autonomy? Maybe as a background, autonomy, especially in civil aviation, is a critical factor. because sector and security is of paramount importance. If a bus overturns, you're carrying 30, 50 people, you lose that much. If an aircraft crashes with 200 or 300 people, the losses are that huge. So aspect of safety are very much. The establishment of Civil Aviation Authority was a huge milestone with regard to safety. As we indicated, that function of regulation was within the Department of Civil Aviation, then Ministry of Transport and Communication. So one, we made a huge stride by making sure Civil Aviation Authority, which is supposed to be independent, is doing this job now. But we ought to do even much further. That's the role of the members of the House. How do we make it more independent, for example? Because we say so because it's an independent institution, but the reporting structure is still within our government system, Ministry of Transport and Logistics. So to make it, this institutional framework even stronger, we need to make sure it has the autonomy and the independence it needs to give you the advice that you need. We'll rest there. Tim, any additions?
Yes, madam, you may proceed.
Thank you. So earlier this year we had an informal discussion with someone from the Aircraft Accident Investigation Board, and one of the challenges that they highlighted informally is that they're highly understaffed and underfunded. So you asked to say how can we help these institutions. We could also look into the system of funding as well and staffing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also wanted to inquire, how will the new legislation help the aviation industry and precisely our national carrier, the Zambia airline?
Okay, I think it does help indirectly for one reason. Number one, like we said, is improving the autonomy and the sector and security of the sector. The more we appear as a country to international partners, to international organizations like ICAO, that we have the necessary legislation to be able to participate not only in regional but international aviation. That's number one. But also number two, by reinforcing, for example, the Civil Aviation Authority Amendment Bill number 9, it reinforces the Principal Act of 2012, and that was the act that established Civil Aviation Authority to oversee or to provide that independent oversight. So the more we give it the leverage, the more we give it the independence to do its job properly, including supervision or regulation over the national carrier, the better for us and how we improve it in terms of image building. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Permanent witness, any question or comment?
Thank you, Chair. As permanent witness, just want to say I've taken note of most of the issues that have been raised from this witness, even the previous witnesses, so no questions and no comments at this point.
Thank you so much. ZIPA, this committee is extremely humbled and grateful for your usual support. You've been great partners to us over time. We are very, very grateful. And before we lift the immunity, we will give you an opportunity to give us your concluding remarks.
In conclusion, just Chair, to say thank you so much for having us and giving us the opportunity to contribute to this important topic. We look forward as ZIPA to always be part of this discussion and contribute our bit towards national development. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ZIPA. At this juncture, allow me to withdraw the immunity that was conferred upon you and your team. Now you are on your own. You no longer have the immunity. Thank you so much, and may the good Lord bless you.
yasira yindi ya busobana tena no balombe mwagali bambiragale pero kutakubona yindi ya busobana tena no bakindi mwagali bambiragale ngesobana ngesobana yamba kutoge ngesobana ngesobana aya Sobana mwana tata Chaka hirimba ego Yaho ya kushibamba baroi Uti Muga muntu tauri miga tenge Muga muntu nye tauri miga tenge Muga muntu nye tauri miga tenge Muga muntu tauri miga tenge Sobana 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 Kumusana chitete kumusanejo Kumusana chitete kumusanejo Kumaulujirarire kumaurejo Kumaulujirarire Atwela pia mai Baragaga jabutere mama wangu tabatuti jabutere aya tuteke mama wangu baragaga jabutere sobana 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 namba kutoge sobana sobana aya shigwela kumalo tonga kulu ibakuwa bashia Sotauga Sobana evo Sobana no jipona evo Iwe wanguruga Uti Iwari sina oyo wagarokwa Iwari sina oyo wagarokwa Mugamwike mujape ya mulangirange Iwari sina oyo wagarokwa Nobana Iwari sina oyo wagarokwa Iwari sina oyo wagarokwa Iwari sina oyo wagarokwa Sina oyo wagarokwa ina wapoya siga ihanwa jihutenu mapere gatu yako mbere Twende kusobana mama twende kusobana Itauga twende kusobana tata twende kusobana Itauga twende kusobana mulombe twende kusobana Itauga twende kusobana moye twende kusobana Zaina kuye chezo Zaina kuye chezo mama Zaina kuye chezo Zaina kuye chezo mama Zaina kuye chezo Zaina kuye chezo mama Zaina Yukuri yangu yukusangu na waitura mungati Baya ina wapuya pina pi Yanka hirimba evo Baya teye Bija mtente Ira mtente Opuya mtente Kabisa mtente Bija mtente Kabisa mtente Kabisa mtente Kabisa mtente Ona bisanya Yanka hirimba evo Haji mutao Sobana 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 Yamba kutoge Sobana Sobana
Ndapulukanga naibukisha ife utwale ala kuwaiti mama we mama situnu yena shalisala kawambi kale shalila utuma nyimbo nale twimba nale kolonga nikale gumba ngana imba kole yale yale ya na na yena Elioni 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 Sisi talenga Ipa Elioni Elioni Liamani Elioni Liavene Tuchindetse nami Tuchindetse nami Ngamwalisunga bunga TV Nishi abantu bekukutemwa Kulisho kutambako na itraija Batambeko na magaiva Ngawafwane bunga Nockstar Awezo na nizimya Wawela wabikapo na stoni Washi alakwena wabachefya Amakela na yomu mashiponi Alakwena Kwale wa mae Elioni 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 Sisi talenga Ipa Elioni Elioni Liamani Elioni Liavene Tuchindetse nami Tuchindetse nami muleketi yakatata nalelo tinelilae nalelo baledisawo nalelo tinelilae nalelo baledisawo tala tutukae nalelo talalilae atitingiriro tirange aikata. Kawalala angape bamugwira akachoka apeza kufuti chitokone imapya bantu bamalira katundu nokwerera futi wosalekerera bintu bamushe bikupite peza kufuti chikanga malizo amagwa bamalada nokwerera pona futi kawalala angape bamugwira akachoka apeza kufuti chitokone imapya bantu bamalira katundu nokwerera futi wosalekerera bintu bamushe bikupite peza kufuti Shanjali mbikira paka veo kuna uvipeze Shanjali ipa pitiliza paka upikepo Chosamanta chikukwa ndiye veo mafuna weote ile Osayopa iwe zikombe upitilize Shanjali mbikira paka veo kuna uvipeze Shanjali ipa pitiliza paka upikepo Chosamanta chikukwa ndiye veo mafuna weote ile Osayopa kuwama kuputa na kukuta ni kumosi ni shawama mabanzi majondo majoba chapati keke olo shawama kuwama kuputa na kukuta ni kumosi ni shawama jali shanjali mbikira paka veo kuna ukipeleke shanjali ipa kitiliza paka ukipeleko chokamanda chikukwa ndiye veo mafuna weote ile otayoba iwe zikombe upitilize Shanjali ipa pitiliza paka ufikelepo Chosamanda chikukwa ndiye veo mafuna weote ile Watayopa iwe zikombe upitilize Shanjali mbikira paka veo kuna uvipeze Shanjali ipa pitiliza paka ufikelepo Chosamanda chikukwa ndiye veo mafuna weote ile Watayopa iwe zikombe upitilize
My name is Jeff Murebwa, or to complete the first name is Jeffrey Murebwa. And I was born at Kalulu village in Chief Chiwala. I'm just turning 60 on the 20th of this month, 20th November. I went to Chiwala Primary School. That's where I started my grade 1. And I went up to grade 7. In my first year of attempting my grade 7 exams, I couldn't make it. So I went to repeat the year at Lupia Primary School. That's where I qualified from, and went to Chikola Secondary School in Chingola. That's where I did all my secondary education. That is from Form 1 to Form 5. Those days we used to call them forms, not as you call them these days, the grades. So after school, basically I had my first job at Apollo Enterprises as a purchasing clerk. Thereafter I did a course with a college in the United Kingdom, diploma in sales and marketing management. So that was my main job for some years. And then I also now, after serving as group and sales marketing manager in Ndola, I went into pastoral work, where I've been for so many years. But may I also state that along the way I did train as a as a professional counselor, and I'm also a lawyer. I qualified as a lawyer in the United Kingdom, and I was married to my wife for 28 years, and unfortunately I lost her to cardiac arrest on the 17th of July 2016. I am not married yet, or I haven't remarried, because it's been very difficult to find Miss Right. My constituency happens to be Kafulafuta. Now, as I said, I was born and bred in Kafulafuta, and as I was growing up, really Kafulafuta didn't look like it was anything that one would bother about in the years to come. We grew up in the village doing what every other child would do in a village setup, where I would go kill some birds with catapults, then go to steal some sweet potatoes and do some uvuni, as we used to call it. So